Hello, everyone. Welcome.
No, we haven't.
Welcome.
No, hold on, Melanie. Hold on. We're live.
The year is 2030, and the Founding Mothers Movement has successfully shifted the paradigm. We have achieved a great victory. We have fully empowered women around the world, and we have stopped an evil that no people before us were able to prevent. We have ended war. Women now have universal gender equity. Women have bodily autonomy and reproductive choice. Laws are in place to prevent child marriage. Cultures forbid family violence and genital mutilation, and relationships between women and men enter a field of understanding and compassion. For the first time in human history, our precious planet is at peace. The military-industrial complex is now a peacekeeping force, and men no longer are asked to kill their brothers. As a result, there is ample money available for healthcare, daycare, and elder care. Schools are being built around the world to educate all girls. Projects abound and are fully funded to provide novel green infrastructure and protect the commons. Artificial intelligence is properly monitored and employed for benevolent projects that enhance life on Earth. Now Mother Earth can regenerate. Animal, plant, and ocean life are revived and add to the euphoria of this new golden age. All my relations, one of the original instructions, is a lesson taught in every school, along with mindfulness. There now exists a universal inner knowing that together we can accomplish anything. Planetary governance has reached a new level of inclusion, collaboration, and coordination. The nation-state system yields to regional and local models of self-organization. Intentional communities and cottage industries abound, creating self-sufficient economies. Globalization now means that we are one species with one shared destiny. Personal freedom is intertwined with responsibility, which we gladly share as members of one human family. The news story is told far and wide. Our children know it by heart. Songs are written in its honor. Truth, love, and light reign on earth. As above, so below. Join the Founding Mothers Movement and help transform the world.
Melanie, you're muted.
Thank you. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Welcome. Welcome to our monthly Connect Fest. My name is Melanie Bennett, and I am a co-steward of the Partner Circle of the Founding Mothers Movement. Friends, we are living in an incredible juncture in human history. The video we just watched shows the world as it could be. But there is little doubt that we are witnessing a coup in the United States that already is impacting the world and taking us in the wrong direction. The Founding Mothers are dedicated to building a new world based on compassion, cooperation, and a culture of peace. Yet the old world, founded on patriarchy, domination, and separation, is not going to slip silently into the night. Consequently, the future we seek is not guaranteed, and the paradigm shift is in play. What happens next depends on what we individually and collectively choose to do. The good news is we have their playbook, Project 2025. It outlines the plan to preserve patriarchy and white privilege. We cannot let that happen. The founding mothers have chosen to focus on two concrete goals to push back against this madness: universal rights for all women and an end to war. Considering all the existential threats facing humanity, you may ask why we are focused on planetary partnership and peace. Because if these two goals are achieved, then we stand a good chance of solving all elements of the polycrisis. We therefore call on our sisters and the men who love us to unite. Together, we can reach the tipping point needed to birth a new world. If we grow a global movement now, we can do this. We hope you will join the Founding Mothers movement. We also hope that during this hour, you will share your thoughts on how to build a movement with the power to shift the paradigm. And now I have the pleasure to introduce the co-steward of the Partners Circle, Lauren Lamore.
Thank you, Melanie. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Connect Fest. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker, who I've had the pleasure of getting to know a bit as we've been working on another project having to do with visioning a peaceful future, where the youth are writing from a peaceful 2050 and explaining to us about how they accomplished that reality. He is a person who is in a truly unique position to educate us today. He deeply understands what's happening in the US and around the world. So it's my great honor to introduce John Perkins. After graduating college, John joined the Peace Corps and served in Ecuador. While living in the Amazon rainforest, John apprenticed with shamans and learned much about the indigenous culture and their way of life. He then returned to the US and went to work as an economist at an international consulting firm, where he advised governments, the UN, and the World Bank. In 2004, after witnessing firsthand the devastation wrought by lending policies in the global South, John published Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Incidentally, Confessions of an Economic Hitman is a trilogy. The first and perhaps most famous was published in 2004, the second in 2016, and the third, which deals with China's economic hitman, in 2023. They've sold millions of copies in 38 languages and have been New York Times bestsellers for more than 70 weeks. Thereafter, he became known for his courage in speaking out against the American empire and the growing networks of oligarchs, which makes him the perfect speaker for this critical moment in history. In addition, John is a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, and he now writes on topics such as shamanism and transformation. His latest book, coming out soon, is called A Message from Pleiades. It's a riveting novel about a woman, U.S. Senator, who is told how to save the world from impending economic disaster by a mysterious voice that claims to come from the seven sister stars of Pleiades. Her life-changing experiences are condensed into just 2 nights in the ancient Mayan city of Tikal, deep in the jaguar-invested jungles of Central America. For his achievements in the field of evolutionary consciousness, John was awarded the John Lennon and Yoko Ono Peace Prize. John, thank you for being with us today. Please share your wisdom.
Wow, thank you so much, Lauren and Melanie and all of you for being here this morning. share my wisdom. That's asking for that's asking for magic. Not sure I have any wisdom, but a lot of experiences. And I've really been asked to talk about Project 2025, which is a fascinating thing to talk about these days because I think I'm a student of history, a fan of history, and the Project 2025 is a refutation of the Declaration of Independence. It's the juxtaposition, and in many ways, uh, the Declaration of Independence was calling on Americans to stand up against the dictatorship, which in that time was the King of England, supported by a very, very strong and very, very wealthy oligarchy that was really led by the East India Company. The Project 2025 is a declaration in favor of a dictatorship, uh, and taking the form of an extremely powerful president of the United States with unlimited powers, basically, and which is supported by another oligarchy of very rich uh, business people, especially Musk. And so we're at this time when we in the United States are being called on to revert to something that we fought many wars to defend against. And I often think about my dad, who's no longer with us, but my dad was a Republican. He was a teacher. He had a master's degree. He graduated top of his class from Dartmouth. He was a very smart guy, but he supported Nixon. He supported things that I didn't really believe in because it was ingrained in him. But he also fought in World War II. I think of him now. I can't imagine him standing up for what the Republicans are putting forward these days in Project 2025. I think it's a terrible travesty of everything the United States stands for and what we've had so many soldiers die for. Fortunately, my dad was not one of them, but many of his friends did. And so here we are at this incredible time in human history when the United States is showing to the world that it wants to reverse so much of what so many people in this country over 250 years have fought to defend, have written about, have done so many things. We fought our own civil war to defend it, and it's very, very disturbing. But and perhaps not necessarily more disturbing, but also very disturbing is the fact that there's two great powers in the world today, and one of them is on the decline. The United States, our world leadership is declining, and China's on the incline. And just one of many examples of this is this incredible map that was produced by the International Monetary Fund that shows how in the year 2000, the United States was the number one trading partner in 80% of the world, with 80% of the world's countries. Today, it's China. And this is actually in 2020. That's the most recent information we have that can compile a map like this. It's gotten even worse in the last 5 years. So in 20 years, China took over. And it's all over Africa, Asia, uh, Latin America, Europe, the world. And so we're at this very, very interesting time when the United States is actually playing into China's hands. So these tariffs that Trump is imposing on China are not going to hurt China. They're going to hurt. They may hurt Chinese sales in the United States, but they're going to help China's sales all over the rest of the world because U.S. products will be more expensive here at home, and they'll be more expensive in the rest of the world. China's goods and services will not cost more in the rest of the world, only in the United States, and many other factors. And the fact that the United States is bullying or trying to bully Panama and Colombia and Canada and Europe uh, is just playing into China's hands. So we're at this time when of an incredible shakeup here in the United States, yes, but globally, an incredible transformation that we're going through. And in a way, it's disturbing, but I also like to think that I think we should all feel blessed that we're alive right now. We're witnessing a time in history that'll not be a footnote. We're witnessing a major change. And my hope is that during this change, out of this chaos will come a recognition that we must transform what economists are calling a death economy. I write about it a lot, an economic system that's consuming and polluting itself toward extinction, that's based on maximizing short-term profits for corporations and materialistic consumption for everyone at the top of the income level chain, at least. And we need to transition into what's called a life economy, an economic system that instead of having a goal of short-term profits has a goal of long-term benefits for all life. And it pays people to clean up pollution, to recycle, to gather up, to corral all the plastics that's floating around in the ocean, recycle it, to regenerate destroyed environments, to create new technologies that'll produce energy out of air and water and who knows what. We're just on the verge of these things. So my hope is that through all this conflict and chaos that we're going through, we will emerge into a new period of what we might call a new enlightenment. That's my hope. But for that to happen, these two countries, China and the United States, have to change. And these two countries combined represent almost half of the world's economy and half of the world's pollution. Think of that. Two countries, and countries that are now in this competition to see who rises to the top, and China's winning that competition. I taught at an MBA program in Shanghai in China some years back, and most of the students had been hand selected to be future leaders of China. They were members of the Communist Party. They were very brilliant students, and it was very fascinating to me that one of the things they said to me is they said, China created an economic miracle. We had 10% economic growth for about 3 decades. And we brought 900 million people out of dire poverty, more than twice the population of the United States. No one else has ever done anything like that. It's a miracle. And it came at a terrible price socially and environmentally. But we here in China created a miracle. And we, this generation, the young generation that's attending an MBA program, we don't want our kids to grow up with all the pollution and the social problems that we've experienced. We've proven we can create a miracle here in China, and we're going to create a social and environmental miracle. Now, we here in the United States tend to have a very biased view of China that they're not going to do that, that they're bad. They're just plain bad. It's them versus us. But I saw a very different aspect there, which gave me a lot of hope. I also get that hope from our kids here. I have a 17-year-old grandson who's very, very bright and very, very attuned to what's going on in the world. And he's in Mexico. Well, he's headed to Mexico in a couple of weeks. And if you hear a cat in the background, that's my cat who's wanting to get some attention. Anyway, our young people here are terribly, terribly concerned, and they don't know what to do. My grandson has always thought for many years that he wanted to be a lawyer, and he just told me last week we had lunch together, and he said, I don't think there's any point in becoming a lawyer because AI is going to take over. So I'm going to go into sciences that deal with computer sciences and AI. And he sees that as a very hopeful thing, and that AI can be used to bring more peace and justice to the world. And he also understands that it can work the other way. It's a tool. It's like the old adage, you can build a house with an axe or you can rip one apart with an axe. An axe is just a tool. So we are at this fascinating time. And to be part of this program that's about women's leadership is a great honor. for me, because that's exactly what we need. And I've seen in a number of Latin American countries, women presidents. We've never had one in the United States, but many Latin American countries have. And I and almost every case, with one exception, that's led to greater awareness of social problems and environmental problems in most cases. So I have a lot of hope when I see groups like this. And I would just want to say one other thing about that comparison of the Declaration of Independence and Project 2025, that they're juxtaposed to each other in general terms. So that one was telling us to stop monarchy, to stop dictatorship, to get out of the rule of dictatorship, and the other one is telling us to go deeper into dictatorship, to create a dictatorship in the United States. There's one commonality, and that is that both of them negate the role of women. The Declaration of Independence, we had to wait until 1919 for women to get the right to vote. The 2025 project is very much oriented to white male supremacy. So, and I'm not sure what all that means, except I think if we can see the differences between the two and also learn from the mistakes of the U.S. Declaration of Independence, which I think was a great document, and with flaws, but a great document in general. I think if we can see our way through this, and we can also understand the importance of working together with China, especially with countries around the world, as this organization stands for, women uniting everywhere, and to recognize that China plays a very, very crucial role in that. And I believe that China is open to creating a better world, because as these Chinese students that they said to me, they said, your young people may be idealistic and dedicated to similar things that we are, but they haven't experienced the terrible pollution and social problems that we have. And so that makes us perhaps more capable of understanding the dangers of these things. And I think there's really something to look at here. So I just want to end this and open it up to the next process by repeating that I think you and I, we should all feel blessed to be alive right now. Yes, we're faced with huge challenges, but out of those challenges, we can create something incredible. We are at the cusp of redefining what it means to be human beings, being human on this planet. And that includes AI, that includes all the new technologies that are coming out, things that we can find very disturbing, but at the same time to understand that out of turmoil, out of chaos, historically, we've arrived at a new kind of vision of what it means to be human, being human on this planet. Through chaos like that comes enlightenment, often, not always. Let's make sure that happens. And again, I just want to honor all of you for being part of this group and encourage you to move forward with, feeling very inspired and motivated to be here at this point in time, being in a position to really do things. And we can talk more about specific things we can do if you want to get into that later. But at this point, I'll turn it back to whomever I'm turning it back to.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura George, and I'm a member of the Founding Mothers Peace Room. We wish to thank John for his powerful analysis and commentary. As a former economist and operative in the World Bank system, he's had an insider view of the imperialism and authoritarianism that has led to this dystopian timeline for America and the world. Our goal is to shift the paradigm in a very different direction, to build the mother of all movements. The Founding Mothers are organizing a meta-unity coalition of nonprofits and world citizens who share our progressive values. Our Reimagined Women's Congress is the body that maps and manages the movement. Female representatives from our partners come to the Congress on the first Saturday of the month to strategize and implement direct action campaigns that move the movement forward. Then the delegates report back to their organization, and in this way, information flows into and out of the Women's Congress. Men also are invited to participate. They help guide our operational circles. These functional circles meet weekly and include a media circle, tech circle, partner, campaigns, and proclamation circle. At our third Congress, we passed the Founding Mothers Proclamation, a document that succinctly sets forth our demands for women's rights and the cessation of war. On New Year's Day, we launched the weekly worldwide Wake Up campaign. Civil rights icon John Lewis famously said to make good trouble. Well, we're making good noise every Wednesday at high noon in every time zone, and we hope you'll join us. On March 8th, which is International Women's Day, we're launching our second campaign, and it's called Founding Mothers Rising. We have prepared a petition and have a list of suggested events and direct actions for that Saturday. And now we want to hear from you. Please share your thoughts or direct a question to John or the Peace Room. And let's begin. Let's open up the mics. I see grandmother Sharon has her hand raised. Can you put us in gallery for a second, Corey? Let me see.
Yeah, we should be in gallery now.
Okay. Okay, my view might be off. Yes.
This voice, these words have been ringing in my head since I began my work in like '89, and talking about the Palladians. And my whole work has been listening to those beyond Earth who have given guidance as to why we're in the mess we're in now and how they have some answers for us. So it's really great to be here with you, listening to you, John. And there's answers in those worlds that absolutely are being anchored by many women I'm working with. And I just want you to know we're with you, and we're working more in that energy beyond that will also be powerfully able to change foundations of what is happening physically. So just glad to be here with you, and glad to see you again, John.
Thank you, Sharon. And I would just mention that there's this novel that's coming out, Message from Pleiades. And it was fascinating. It's written in first person because that's how I write. And the first person in this case is a woman senator, the youngest senator from the United States. So I'm writing from the standpoint of a woman, it's the first time I've done that, and it was wonderful to try to get my head into that. And if you're interested, if you sign up for my newsletter, you go to my website, johnperkins.org, put your email address in the little box. You'll get the first chapter free sometime within the next couple of months. And then for another, $12 or something, I'm trying to keep it very expensive. You can get a digital copy. A little self-promotion there, but it's a fun book. It's fun.
Well, it's interesting, John, because my book, which I wrote in my first book, came out in 1997, 96, and it's a first person fictionalized story of my experience, not as a senator, but as a woman on the street, young woman on the street, and how the information I received impacted her life. But it's all about my journey, but it's put in fictionalized. So we also match there. Glad you're there.
Thank you. Sisters.
All right, Lynn, would you like to share or ask a question?
I would. I'm unmuting. Can you hear me? Oops, not yet.
Yes.
Hi, John. I met you at Omega with Barbara Marx Hubbard, actually, many years ago. And this Founding Mothers movement is somewhat of a continuation of her work with the Peace Room. The Peace Room was her vision of a peace room as powerful as the War Room and the Pentagon. So that was great workshop. And what I'm thinking about is it's really hard to hold the vision right now. I mean, Barbara Marx Hubbard changed my life in her saying that as something's dying, as the old is crumbling, that the systems that no longer serve us, something new is being born. And I like the feminine vision of something being born, but it's hard to hold on to because I feel like we're not evolving, we're devolving. And I guess my question is around holding the vision, like shamanically. I really believe that our thoughts and our visions matter and do create, our what we want to see happen, which is what this movement is all about. So I just wonder if you have any thoughts about that, how to hold the vision.
Well, yeah, I think it's important. You know, Barbara Marx Hubbard was always very, very hopeful, optimistic, and kept that energy about her. A remarkable human being, and her spirit is still very much with us. I know it's with you. It's certainly with me, and I I have the I'm blessed by the opportunity to travel around the world a lot. I was recently in Qatar in the Middle East, and I just came back from Ecuador, and before that Mexico, and I head to Guatemala in a couple of weeks, and then in between I do these podcasts. This past week I did a podcast out of China with a China news agency, and I did another one out of South Africa, another one out of Poland, and on and on. And why I'm saying all this is because everywhere I go and every audience I speak to all over the world, people are saying the same thing. They're all understanding that we must change. So, Lynn, that's a good way to stay optimistic. I mean, we got everywhere you go, you got people like this. At the same time, I think it's a small minority that's pushing back. And historically speaking, that's always been the case. Whenever there's a revolution, and this is a revolution in consciousness, there is a waking up. You know, it's why the status quo, if you want to call it, that's why the oligarchs keep pushing against woke, because we are waking around the world. People are waking. We are woke, or we're not entirely woke yet. We're awakening. We're awakening, and there's always pushback. So throughout all revolutions, there's pushback by the status quo, and revolutionaries take strength from the pushback. I've been a martial artist most of my life, and one of the things I know is that if I'm up against a guy who's more powerful and bigger than I am, stronger than I don't try to overpower him. I have to use his energy against him. I see that as an advantage. And we're at a time like that now. So Lynn and everyone else, rather than getting discouraged by these things that are happening, take energy from them. They are energizers. Energy, it gets translated into emotion. And it's good to feel angry. It's good to feel sad about what's going on. But what's important is how do you use that energy to change things? So I'm incredibly angry. And it used to be years ago that I directed that anger at throwing stones, getting run over by cops in Boston Common, and doing things that were quite self-destructive, actually. And I stayed unhappy, and I was just, I went through divorces. Now I'm still incredibly angry at what corporations are doing and what's going on in the world, and I love it. I direct the energy to writing, to speaking out, to talking with you. I'm really enjoying it. I'm still angry, but it's what we do with the energy. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling discouraged, use that energy to move you into action, because it's always important to remember that reality is created by perception. There are no corporations, there's no economy, there's no culture, there's no United States, there's no China except as we perceive them. And when enough people accept a perception or codify it into law and change actions as a result, then reality is changed. We create a new reality. And so we're at a time like that now where all we really need to do is change our perception of what it means to be successful human beings, rather than looking at materialistic gain, maximizing short-term materialism and profits. We look at we celebrate those. We put on the covers of our magazines those who are their goal is to create a better world for future generations of all life, all life. And so take energy from Trump is giving me a lot of energy, a lot of energy. Uh, a lot more than I had under Biden, frankly. Under Biden, I'm just kind of, okay, let it ride. I'll write my novels. I'll write stuff like that. Man, I don't feel that way anymore. Now I'm energized to really write and take actions
Rather
and
than having it take energy from us to give us energy
exactly
to
spin it
move into
around.
action.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share, I'm in Puerto Rico right now, and it's kind of a good example of what you're talking about, because with all the hurricanes and their economic crisis, I mean, the place is gorgeous. The people are amazingly kind and helpful and wonderful, and they're rebuilding. And,
Yeah.
everything's like kind of rising with the incredible destruction that happened here.
Yeah.
So when I've been doing some humanitarian work with the World Kitchen here while I'm here. So yeah, it's good. So thank you. That's really helpful, and it's great to see you.
Yeah. Well, keep up your great work.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Lynn. That's really good. And I just want to add that, yes, you can take even the dark emotions, use it as fuel, put yourself into service, put yourself into action. And what's going to be different, and already is different about the Founding Mothers movement, is we're thinking up very novel nonviolent campaigns. So for those of you who want to help us brainstorm, very different looking, different feeling, at times celebratory, at times angry movements, join our campaign circle. We really would love your input. Okay, next we got, let's see, Dr. Janet.
Well, I got to get this out of my face. Hold on. They're telling me on mute. I just did. I already did it. So get out of my face. John, I don't believe I've ever met you before, but I agree with every single thing you said and exactly the way you said it. I could take off in so many directions, but I think I'd like to maybe shift the focus a little bit to, are you aware of the huge global network that is growing beneath the surface all over the planet? I personally, like you, I have traveled a lot. I'm connected with people all over the planet. We have our 501(c)(3) Educational Foundation, Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity, which is aligned with the Oracle Institute and the Founding Mothers Movement. We're having this is an aside, Laura, to you. We're having some technical challenges. Does that surprise you? In getting you up as a partner in our foundation, but we are working on it. Look at the network. It's like an Indra's web, but it's not at the surface. It's beneath the surface. With how many billion people are on the planet now? 7 or 8 billion, something like that. Each person on this planet is a tiny little piece of that web, but they're connecting beneath the surface, and miracles are happening. At least they're happening in my life. And another thing I notice, I'm in Sarasota, Florida at the moment, but at a very local level, people are starting to come together. It's almost like a communist commune, I think, where you're starting at the the microcosmic level, which is each and every single one of us. And then as you connect with other microcosms, you build up into an entire macrocosm, which is planetary peace, power, and prosperity. But it starts internally with each and every person on this planet. So you work on yourself first. Yeah, you use first person singular language. And you ask yourself, what do I think? What do I feel? What do I need? What are my choices? What do I need to know? And whom can I trust? And then you go. And I could add a lot more, but I don't want to monopolize the conversation here. So I'm going to stop right now. But just look beneath the surface and look inside and figure out who you are and what your unique piece is to contribute to this planet, because each one of you, each one of us has a unique gift. I'm going to be quiet now and lower my hand.
Well, thank you, Janet. And you're right. These unification efforts are popping up everywhere. One of our partners is starting the citizen assemblies movement here in the United States, which is already very popular in Europe. And I know the woman, I think Candace was next asked a question. She's working on unification efforts with Indigenous people. So Candace, you have a question or you want to share?
Oh, first I want to say thank you, Miigwech, to everybody being here. Thank you to the Founding Mothers Movement for holding this space. I'm fairly new, but it's been quite eye-opening to connect with Laura and Lauren and others. And when I found out about John Perkins, I think it was about a week and a half ago, I was like, so John, I want to put my hands up. It is an honor to meet you. And I have a funny story. I was flying from British Columbia to Washington, D.C. in 2004, I think. And my partner at the time had just bought your book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. So I read the first half on the way to Washington, and then we flipped and I read the last half. So I get home, and my son, who was 13 at the time, who I raised to be very, he's very open. He took it to school and he had it on the desk, and the teacher went up and said, "What are you reading?" And of course, all his friends were like, it was quite funny. But I will say this, John, when I got that book, I always ask the question, how did we get third world countries? How did third world countries happen? So you answered that for me. So you, like many others, were a catalyst in my journey of awakening. And so I'm really, really honored to hold this space with you and to hear you share. And I'm very intrigued about your latest book, because like some of you, I am Métis. My name is Osawasiskuyu, which in English is brown bear woman. And I have a deep connection to the star beings, to the star people, to Pleiades. It's on my drum. I painted it on my drum probably about 10 years ago. And as we know right now, well, last month we moved into 13th moon, and the lining up of the Pleiades, the big bear, the hunter. So I can't help but think of, I was in ceremony in North Carolina at a Sundance, and there was a Iroquois man, actually was Seneca, and he turned to me, he looked up at the stars and he said something about it's lining up, something about the stars are lining up. And I began to feel the last month and a half that for sure things have lined up. And when you said about Trump, I feel the same. I laugh, even though it's scary, but and I love what you said about anger, because I've been an activist since I was 24, and I teach people anger is an energy, but how do you use it? So I feel like you, I feel like I'm getting energized by what he's doing, because I feel like on a mental level, he and Musk and others, they're breaking down. And we know, and I believe this is a cycle that humanity has to go through. And so it's leaving this vacuum open. I don't want to take up too much more time, but I just want to say to John that, and to all of you, I had a vision when I was 19 of peace. This was in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It changed my life. 2008, I learned about the Great Law, the Guyanagoa, from my late husband. That was 16 years ago. So I've been on a trajectory learning, because I've known that the Guyanagoa would be a peace, no pun intended, but to bring peace to the earth. And in the last 6 months, I'm now aligned with the people of the Longhouse that were first given from the peacemaker, the Guyanagoa. And I've been appointed the ambassador for our Ilaqua government, which is being created as we speak, for all of the Americas and our bank, because the banking is one big piece of this. And so I'll leave it at that, but love to talk with you more, John. And again, it's just incredible to be aligned with people, like Laura would say, at that higher level of consciousness. And I just talked to a brilliant young woman yesterday, and she said, Candace, we need a conscious government. And that's exactly what we all know. And that's what we are co-creating, because with our government, we got a foundation, the bank is done, but we need good people and good minds to create. And that's why I love the structure of Founding Mothers Movement, because the circles and the animals and it's beautiful. So I'll leave it at that. But Miigwech, for having me here. And it's just really an honor to meet you, John, and for all the good work that you've been doing for the people. My hand's up to you. So Miigwech.
Thank you, Candace.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the work you do. Keep doing it. It's a dance. It's a dance. I don't like to even think of it as work. It's a dance. Thank you. Okay.
Let's see, Sharon, would you like to share?
Hello. Yes, I'm sorry for joining you late. Hi to my friend Janet Smith Warfield, who I took the Agents of Conscious Evolution course with back in 2012. And John, you and I met at the Green Festival in Seattle a number of years ago, probably about 10 years ago. And I just wanted to say it's really a pleasure to be here with you all today. John, the first book of yours I ever read was The World is As You Dream It. And then the next book I read was Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And when I realized you were the same guy, my mind just exploded. So I'm looking forward to reading your next book. I'm a singer, songwriter, actor, kind of arts person. And I use that to try to spread messages of peace and to excite people about peace and, environmental healing. And I'm loving this group of people. I'm loving jumping onto this Zoom right after I got off this another mind-blowing Zoom with Hunter Lovins of Natural Capitalism and John Fullerton. I think this time is ripe for the kind of shift and the kind of change that we need. In a way, it's horrifying, and in a way, it's like, let's go. The soil has been disrupted. Let's plant something awesome. So thank you for letting me speak. Much appreciation.
Thank you. So go ahead, Melanie.
Hello, goodness. Hello again. John, your words are so powerful and so energizing and so inspirational. And you can't help but feel that, like you said, this is a great time to be, but it's just a nice ride. We're on a ride. Oh my gosh. So I'm actually a filmmaker as well. And we made the film The World is My Country, and talks about the life of Gary Davis, who was very famous about world citizenship. He was world citizen #1. And so I just correlate that to what you're saying, because it's the power of the people. It's us coming together. We can do this. We have the power to go through this change and make it beautiful. And we're all here doing it. And then this energy, speaking about using your anger, your or passion, or your vision of what you want the world to be, using whatever energy to make that happen. So that really spoke to me. So thank you for saying that, because you do get depressed, you do get angry, you do get scared. And I always like to be positive, and I can see the vision, and I know the future is bright. And just a reminder like that was so helpful. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for saying that, Melanie. Yeah, I think to anybody who doesn't feel concerned, depressed, frightened, is not paying attention. So these are good feelings. And I don't mean to come across as just the blind optimist. I too feel depressed and angry and sad many times, but to realize that we use that to take actions that will change the reality that we're in. And that if we look at history, that's always been the driving force. It took things like the Boston Massacre to drive the Americans to actually start to take actions that became the United States. And that's just one of many examples. You can look at Lech Walesa against the Soviet Union. You can look at time and time throughout history that people motivated by chaos or pushback. Here we are.
Yes, here we are. And we've got Nina here. Nina,
Hi,
share, please.
everybody. Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, I've been feeling really, it's not depressed, but feeling that words are not enough. Actions must occur, and to stand up against what you feel is unjust. And so I've been going to the protests, I'm writing letters, and I'm really supporting people that are, taking positions. I don't quite understand. There was a clip with Trump before the inauguration where he said, "Oh, people, I sent Elon Musk to Philadelphia, to Pennsylvania," didn't say Philadelphia, "to fix the votes." I mean, I am convinced that the votes were tampered with, but we'd have a hard time figuring it out if Elon Musk play with him. But I don't understand why people aren't looking into that. But that, that's just a piece. In terms of positive action and consciousness and really believing the emerging potential of the new, I am working maybe with some people and youth. We want to do a program at UNICEF on what do new systems look like if they were to emerge from consciousness. Yeah. And asking the youth to begin to build a blueprint of what that looks like, give them safe space so that they can think and not imitate what's come before, and at least have something that they want to work for and make happen, and that could be a model for many. And the idea would to bring them from around the world, and the UN is a good calling card for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to point out that if you are a partner of the Founding Mothers Movement, we are highlighting the programs of partners every Friday on our social media. So Nina, send us, a link, a graphic, we can help you promote. We also co-sponsor events with our partners. So please, if you're listening and you're learning about the Founding Mothers Movement for the first time, we have reimagined and reignited the Global Women's Congress. We meet once a month. It's the first Saturday of the month. And in the chat, there are links to learn more about how you too can join this movement, which is going to elevate the vision of the founding fathers of every nation. We're serious about this. Women of the world need to birth a new world. All right, let's see. Are there any more people with their hands raised? Any more questions or sharings? Let me see. Put it back in gallery. I don't see any hands raised. Anyone want to jump in here? We've got like 5 minutes left. I see Janet's hand raised.
You know me, Laura. There's a lot I can talk about, but let me just mention one because I know I noticed a shift in my own energy field recently. I don't think of myself as an angry person, but there are moments in my life when I experience moral outrage. And it's fascinating to me how it plays out. Most recent story, which I haven't told anybody yet, is I'm following a car going home after doing some shopping, and on the bumper it says, "Donald Trump was right," and then there's this big MAGA hat on the back shelf. I just pulled up right behind. Well, first of all, I screamed at him. Something like, Trump is a total idiot. And I've had personal experiences, not personal, but I practiced law in Atlantic City when Donald Trump was building his first casino there. So I heard a lot about him on the streets. Never met him, never want to. But I was just right behind that guy's car. First, I screamed at him, something about, oh, what are you doing? Donald Trump is a total asshole. And he heard me because I could see his face looking in the rearview mirror to see who the heck was screaming at him. And then I was really right behind him in my car until I got to my own gate and went in. So I'm changing. And I mean, I have another story, which I have told to some people, but I pulled up at a gas pump. I was born into a female body. I didn't choose to be born into a female body, but I was. So that's what I got to work with. I pulled up to fill up the tank of my car. I'm positioning my car so that the hose will reach the gas tank. And this jerk, male in a fancy sports car comes flying into the gas station. He says, "Move, get out of my way." Thank goodness I was in the car. If I'd been outside the car, I probably would have moved because he could have killed me. But I just stayed in the car and I didn't move. And then finally he got mad and he pulled over to the other side of the gas pump, kept hollering at me, at which point I pulled down my window and I said, "Do you have no respect for women?" At which point he shut up, continued to fill up his gas tank, and left. And I'm done.
All right. Well, there's no doubt that there is an energetic of misogyny in the air. It's growing globally. That's another reason why we started Founding Mothers Movement. And we've been talking about how to appropriately take all that anger, frustration, and utilize it in not only a benevolent way, but in a way that's going to get the change we seek. So again, at Founding Mothers, that's what the campaign circle is working on, the partner circle as well. And so we invite you, if this is the first time you're learning about Founding Mothers Movement, to come in and help us brainstorm this movement, which is growing daily. And Andre is one of our male volunteers. You're going to be our last question, Andre, or our last share. What would you like to add?
Well, thank you. Namaste, everyone. And I believe that we have an amazing opportunity at our fingertips. Everything that Trump is doing, he's manipulating everyone because he's saying, here's what we're doing. And I think now is the time for women to say, here's what we're doing. We're stopping war because that's the worst type of violence. And everyone in every community can understand we want to stop violence. So the opportunity, because of the ceasefires in Gaza and the trying to have the peace talks now for Ukraine, what an opportunity to take the lead and say, here's what we're doing. And they'll be astonished. Now's the time to act.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you so much. All right, Karuna is going to close this out. And I'll just, before we go, remind you we do this once a month because the women's congresses are private. You have to be a delegate to attend the monthly Congress. So that's why we've added these monthly Connect Fests, because we want to be able to reach the public, let more people know about Founding Mothers Movement, and invite them to join. So Karuna, can you close this out, please?
So dear ones, why don't we take the mudra of the Founding Mothers and draw that energy of Jupiter, Saturn, Sun. The thumb, the ego, holds down Mercury. My name is Karuna, and I'm so blessed. I just feel so blessed to be here at the Peace Room from the very beginning. And thank you for enjoying beloved ones, John Perkins and all, Laura, everybody who contributed. All your voices are to be heard. If you haven't joined the Founding Mothers Movement yet, there's 3 ways you can join. world citizen, partner group, and delegate. So our Global Women's Congress was designed to provide decentralized agency and maximize flexibility to our partners while also providing centralized collaboration and the cohesion required to monitor the movement in our direct action campaigns. Our strategic plans and calls for building momentum and slowly escalating our novel, non-violent campaigns to achieve planetary partnership and peace. 1,000 points of light operating in silos will not change the world. But those points of light, once unified, contain the power to finally shift the paradigm. So let us gather our expertise, life experience, and cultural diversity and unify. Let us follow the path of truth, love, and light. And lastly, join us for the weekly worldwide Wake Up, which takes place every Wednesday at noon, wherever you are at noon, your time. Do what you can do to focus in. If it's making noise, if it's meditating, if it's chanting, if it's whistling, do this weekly action until the Founding Mothers Proclamation is honored, women are free, and this war ends. So please join us. Founding Mothers Rising on March 8th, International Women's Day. Join us with this campaign. We'll put this link into the chat right now. If you could do that, I really appreciate it. And now we'll close with this beautiful song. Hold this mudra, ground your feet, align your spine, pull your chin in. Thank you, John. Thank you all for being here. It's performed this song by Leah Morris, one of the founding mothers. Please help us build the mother of all movements. Blessings.
One seed is all it takes to grow a forest. One candle can fill a dark room. One voice is enough, speaking words of love. Each moment becomes what we choose. So do you want a new world? A world that works for everyone? Just open your mind, maybe you'll see. We can become a new world with Mother Earth circling the sun. She's waiting for you and for me to be the new world. Our dreams light a path for us to walk on. Our songs keep our spirits alive. And each little child helps remind us why we not only might, we must thrive. So do you want a new world? A world that works for everyone? Then open your heart and you will see. We can become a new world with Mother Earth circling the sun. She's waiting for you and for me to be the new world. With just that thought, it has begun. Don't you wanna see? you can be.